Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to On the Brightline podcast, Tales from Recovering Food Addicts from the perspective of a physician, a therapist, and an off-the-wall storyteller. We are not affiliated or endorsed by Brightline Eating, and all content presented in this podcast represents our personal opinions and does not represent medical, nutritional, or psychological professional advice. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of On the Brightline podcast. We are going to talk about journaling today. Journaling is a practice that a lot of us do in Brightline Eating, and I think is a healthy practice. And there's lots and lots of different ways to do it. And so we're going to talk about some of the ways that we do it, some of the ways that we know about doing it, and that sort of thing. So yeah, let's talk about our experiences, and I'm going to hand it to Robin first.
Woo, woo. Oh, God, there's just a bajillion different ways to journal. The one that I have, I absolutely love, and Bonnie gave it to me. It's a 5-year journal, and I love it because it's got just little small spaces.
Is it the BLE five-year
Nope.
journal? Oh,
No,
okay.
it's just a regular.
There is a BLE 5-year journal. Yeah.
Right. And I love it because I think before I would just look at a blank page and be like, I have to fill the whole thing up. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. And to be able to just kind of write a few summary sentences of, man, this is kind of what's on my heart today, or this is what I'm feeling today. And then to be able to look back over the years and go either, oh, I'm still struggling with the same thing, or, oh, wow, I am absolutely not where I was last year.
Yeah.
That was really important for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I also use a 5-year journal. So I have the BLE version because when I looked online, they're all about the same price. So if you get a nice leather-bound 5-year journal, you're going to pay about the same cost no matter where you're getting, if you're getting it from BLE or if you're getting it otherwise. So, but yeah, I agree. Like, I think I'm still on the first year of my five-year journal, so I've not yet crossed over the threshold to be able to look back on years past. But that's what everybody says. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it because I think it's one of those cool things. So the other ways that I journal, I do gratitude every day in my food journal. So that's just part of my food journal. And I do the GLAD acronym. So it is, oh gosh, grateful for, looking forward to, feeling accomplished by, and delighted with. And so I use those 4 prompts every day to give my gratitude. So I do that. I have my food journal, which is a whole nother form of journaling, obviously. But then I have like a journal, which is kind of, it's taken on many different forms. So like I used to do just a timed, like I'd set a timer and I started with a minute and then I went to 2, 3, like I got up to like 5 or 6 minutes. I now have morphed that into like a prompt. And so it's actually for the last couple weeks, I have been committing to my mastermind group to write about these prompts, and things like life has gotten super lifey. So last week I was doing positive visualization. So like just talking about like positive things that I see in my future and like how I'm going to get there and that sort of thing. And then this week, excuse me, I've been journaling about worthiness, which is just an interesting prompt, and why I'm worthy, how I'm worthy, those sorts of things, and just reminding myself of those things in my journal. And again, it's not, I mean, sometimes it's just like 3 or 4 sentences. It's not a huge amount. It doesn't have to be. I know another form that people do that I've never done this is morning pages. Do you know about morning pages? Have you guys heard about morning pages? So morning pages, sometimes people do like 3 pages, which I think is a lot of writing, and it's very impressive for people that can do that. But they do like a brain dump, like first thing in the morning, first thing when they get up, and they just like free form write, and like it doesn't have to make sense or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like whatever comes out, comes out. And you don't even have to go back and reread it. It's just about kind of like spilling your thoughts out on the page.
Almost like a meditation, right?
Almost like a meditation, yeah, for sure. But there's a book, The Artist's Way.
The Artist's Way, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where it talks about morning pages. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of like I know that is like free flow journaling. And so the goal is to, once your pen hits the paper, you never stop moving the pen. And so the goal there is to kind of override that tendency that we all have to self-censor.
Yes.
To edit ourselves, make the grammar and what word do I want to use? That goal of almost word vomit to get past that mental block of self-censorship.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of people say, "Ooh, I was really surprised at what came out and where that went." So again, that goal of you're not looking for grammar or punctuation or, sentence structure, just word vomit. Never stop the pen moving, even if it's just, I can't believe this stupid journaling thing. This is ridiculous. Right. Just keep the pen moving.
Yeah. Bonnie?
I've done several different kinds of journaling. I'm inconsistent with my journaling. It's something I would like to add back into my habit stack. I've got the 5-year journal and I intermittently log in that. So it's like there's blank spots, which is kind of sad. But I have a bound journal that's just pages, so that if I'm having a life gets lifey moment, I will usually write a page or two in there. And I have gone back and looked at some of those, which has been an interesting experience. I did a course, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name, and when I remember it, I'll look it up and we'll post it to this. We'll attach it to this.
Will, meaning Megan.
No, I'll look it up. And we'll attach it to this episode. But I took a really cool course that was it was like heart-centered journaling or something like that. And the idea was it was with watercolors. So I have a watercolor book, right? And
it was like an online course?
It was an online course.
Oh, cool.
It was really neat. And it was like kind of expressing yourself through the picture, using the picture to tell the story. And she gave prompts. So it was like, what makes me feel bad is, or whatever.
Right.
And then you would just start free drawing. You'd sketch and then paint.
So
and
cool.
It was something interesting because the painting took some time and you're mixing the colors, and it just starts to, it kind of taps into other emotional parts of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It was really cool. So I'll post that. I'll add that to the, however the technology.
Again,
Megan.
Megan will do it.
Megan,
you're gonna give it to Megan.
I'll do it. That was an interesting complete diversion from anything I'd ever done before, because it was almost no words. You're
just doing pictures.
Story of how this person made you feel, or how this experience made you feel in the drawing that you made.
Yeah,
it was really interesting.
Very cool.
But I've been inconsistent about it, and we were talking about earlier today about meditation, and that just meditating makes my day better.
Right.
Journaling makes my day better too.
Yeah.
It's just I know it seems like we talk about all these things, it's like I'm never gonna have time for all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's it can be just a couple of minutes.
It can. Yes. Well, and the thing is that if you make it part of, so going back to James Clear's Atomic Habits, making it part of your habit stack is one habit leads to another type of a thing.
Yep.
Is the journaling, the journaling pieces of my habit stacks are ordered, and so they are, at night I do my 5-year journal. It's the last thing I do before I get on Instagram and do my evening accountability, what we jokingly call my part-time job. But that's the last thing I do before I go to bed. So it is literally the last thing I'm doing before I go to bed. And in the morning, it's I do my journals after meditation and that sort of thing. So and it doesn't take a lot of time. It's one of those things, you just make it part of your habit. And I think that's kind of where people get tripped up, is they try and we've talked about, I think we talked about this in habit forming and all that sort of thing, is that you don't start 6 habits one day. You start one habit one day and you get that automaticity around that one habit, and then you build in the next habit and the next habit. So it's I have, what did I name, 3 different journals that I do, but I didn't start with 3 different journals. You know what I mean? The only thing I did for a long time was my food journal. Gratitude was always a part of that. And so, that's my gratitude journal too. But I didn't add in the 5-year journal until sometime later. And then I didn't add in the, just the regular journal, the prompt journal, and, until sometime later after that. So
I love the idea of the gratitude, forcing yourself to kind of put the gratitudes.
Absolutely.
But I want to ask Robin, from the psychological aspect.
Yeah.
Because I've done that, and then I'm I'm forced. I'm making up crap because I'm having a bad day.
And right. And so gratitude, there's a lot of people that struggle with that. And one of the therapist tweaks that we've kind of made around gratitude is, instead of talking about external things, oh, it was a beautiful day and my friends are nice and blah, 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 blah. Looking at internal, what did I do well today? Today, I felt really comfortable with my authenticity around, writing down my food. Today, I was, I'm so glad.
So more like identifying the things that went right in the face of a day that went wrong, right? Instead of just, because I've done that. And like I said, I just feel like I was like, I'm going to fake it. I'm going to say, I'm really happy for my home.
Right.
I'm happy for
because I'm supposed to be grateful.
The sun came up today, and it's just like, I wasn't feeling that, right?
Right.
But I see what you're saying, like more digging into like, all right, it was a rough day, but how did I handle that? Is there something I can honor about how I navigated that day?
How did I do it? I reached out to friends. I was willing to do X, Y, Z. I didn't, turn to food for this. I did X, Y, Z. I moved my body. I did whatever. Because that puts you in connection with, oh yeah, I am doing things differently, even though it was a crappy day. I'm doing things differently than I used to. Right. And to me, that's a beautiful thing to have gratitude around, to be like, oh, right. In the face of a hard day, I'm still doing these things fairly well.
Yeah.
I did that thing good. And that's different than it was, yay me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because otherwise it's all external, and we need to be willing to look and reflect on what we ourselves are doing well.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the other piece, like we were talking about, like Megan, you were saying, I didn't start doing 3 different journals.
No.
Right? Some of it is being willing to look at what the barriers are to journaling. Right. And I remember Bonnie gave me the 5-year journal. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I wasn't doing it. And so I really had to sit down and go, what's keeping me from doing this? Right. And it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it. You know what was freaking keeping me from doing it? Yeah, I wasn't leaving it where I could see it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a pen. I was like, oh, I have to go find a pen, right?
I have a pen attached to each one of my journals. I have a different pen attached to each one of my journals. Yeah. So, and in a couple of them, I've already had to change pens out because I've like run them out. So,
right?
Yeah.
But that being willing to go, what's the barrier? Do I not?
Well, so the funny thing is like I just recently moved my office. So like it's just a logistical thing in people's minds. Like I moved it to another part of my house. Like that is literally all the way across the house from my bedroom. And so it is actually been a struggle for me to remember I have to walk across the house to get to my food journal, because my food journal lives in my desk, because I generally fill it out in the morning when I start work.
Right.
And so it's like it's my 5-year journal is next to my bed, which is on the other side, pointing to where it is on the other, because we're in Megan's house right now, in the other side of the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, just even physically moving the location, it's in the same place it was before in my desk, like in the same place on my desk. It's just on the other side of the house now. So in my desk.
Right. But being willing to look at that and go, what's keeping me from doing this?
Right.
Do I need to move where it is?
Yeah.
Do I need to do I need a different journal? And I know, I have one dear friend that has, a bajillion different journals.
Sure.
But some of it is about finding what works for you. What style of journaling? Do you need prompts? Are prompts too much? Is that too restrictive? What really feels good?
Is there like a resource of good prompts, or like
it's like a Google,
right?
That it's worth a Google.
Hit Pinterest, right?
Yeah.
There's a million of them out there, and so again, maybe coming up with what is important for you to be journaling about.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like for me lately, because I've been doing these like prompted, like, prompted things. It's more about how do I like the meditation, like how do I focus that? How do I focus that in on what I need right now? Right. And so like, we know the meditation like helps us get centered for the day, but like the journaling also is like, what do I need right now? Well, I need positive visualization for my future, because I'm not feeling I'm not in a good place, like mentally right now. So how do I put myself in that place? So it's like, I think that's the way to think about journaling too, is like, it's just another form of, positive reinforcement, or or just like also just to get feelings out, get them on paper. And I think the 5-year journal, I'm excited about flipping over to the next year, because I think that it's one of those things that being able to look at your life year over year, and I don't go back and read any of my other journals, to be perfectly honest, because I don't know why. I just haven't, like, that hasn't been a practice of mine. But the 5-year journal, like, I'm super excited about just seeing like the progress of like where I am, like emotionally, physically, all those things. So yeah, we track.
It would be an interesting practice to set a time aside once a month or something to go skim through some of your really old, I don't know, like could be an interesting.
And that's why I like.
I don't know. I'd have to be in a good, healthy, I'm in a good mental health space to do that. I'd be like, maybe I don't want to do that too.
But the beauty of, and that's why I like the 5-year journal, because you know, every time you go to the next page and, you know, you've been doing it for a while, you are kind of scanning like, oh, that's where I was.
You know, I had a really traumatic event in my first year of the journal, a personal event, and I documented it there, and I felt bad about it. I didn't respond well to a situation, and I was ashamed of how I responded in that situation. And I have a hard time getting back in the journal now because I'm afraid to come upon what I
that day.
Oh,
and that's interesting.
That is really interesting.
But think about it, because the beauty is that you're not there anymore,
right?
And you have been willing to sit with that, and say, got it, I would do this differently, right? Sure. And flipping into saying, I am not that person anymore. And to me, that's the beauty, right? I'm not that person anymore, or I'm not feeling that thing that I was feeling. I have triumphed over a difficult situation. I have dealt with a stressful event, and gosh, I'm not feeling those feelings anymore.
But you have to be ready, like you're saying, like you have to be in a headspace.
Absolutely. I mean, to go back and look, I mean, and I think the 5-year journal, it's like, you know, I haven't, because I haven't gotten back around yet. Like I'm not there yet, but I don't feel like I'm, you know, there's no trepidation for me to come upon the things that have happened. So, you know. But
how do you feel about like a digital versus handwriting?
You know,
which is so interesting because I am such not a handwriting, like I'm not a write it down type of person, but yet all my journals are handwriting.
And a lot of the data that I've seen says there is value to handwriting instead of digital.
Yeah.
I guess I would say, you know, if digital is what's going to work for you, right? Then do that. Do the journaling that works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that comes up when I'm thinking about journaling, because I think there is a struggle of people saying, well, you know, is this about, you know, getting at my feelings? You know, is again, it needs to be the journaling that's working for you and getting you where you want to be. Like Megan, I love what you were talking about of what is, you know, where is it that you want to be?
Right.
Right. Because I think sometimes we can have a tendency to get stuck in the perseveration of
discussing what's
wrong. This is wrong and horrible.
Yeah.
And the, you know, we talk about like it's the 17-second rule, like where you put your attention for 17 seconds is where your emotions and your thoughts are going to go. So if all I do when I journal is I sit and perseverate on how, you know, stressful or horrible things are, then you bet that's going to get magnified, and that's where my brain goes.
Because what you focus on expands.
Yep. And so
I write that at the top of my journal every single day. And what you focus on expands.
And I love that, because that is so true.
Yes.
And so maybe if the just getting your feelings out and naming what's going on isn't working for you, think about switching that up. Right? What do I want to be different, and how will I get there? What am I doing to get there? What am I struggling with facing? That might be maybe a more productive type of journaling for some people. There's no wrong way to journal.
No rules.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything else? Yeah, I think I just wanted to say, I was just thinking through, because when you brought that up and I said, oh yeah, I write at the top of my journal every day, which focus on expands. You know, I have a couple of mantras that I write out every day. Yeah, the one that I write directly after I write down my weight every day is my health is more than the number on the scale, because I feel like that's a really important reinforcement that I need to make after I write the number down, because I write the number down in my journal every day, what the weight is, and then I write the mantra, my health is more than the number on the scale. And then also what you focus on expands. But I know that there's lots of people that do mantras, that write mantras, and there is something, and it's funny because I'm such a digital person. Like I live and die by my phone. You know, I don't ever like take handwritten notes. I know do note, like for work, I do notes on a computer, like, and like, you know, in like OneNote, like I don't write anything down, but there's something about the act of writing.
Yeah.
There's something about that act. And like, I have horrible handwriting, you guys. Like I rival Bonnie's and she's a doctor. So I kid, but seriously, like I do have really bad hand. I don't feel like my handwriting is super neat. And so for me, like even if it's just chicken scratch, like there's something about like that, just the act of writing. So I think that journaling, I mean, it's become such an integral part of my life. And I think I said this the other day in a post on Instagram that it's like, yes, these are skills that I've learned in BLE, but they're life skills. Like this is for the betterment of my life. And it's not like I can extrapolate the things that I've learned from Brightline Eating into every aspect of my life. And journaling is just one of them. And it's just a good life skill, It's just a good life skill. Whether you're BLEing or not. Yeah. So that's, I think that there's lots of prompts out there, like Robin said. There's lots of people that do have really cool journaling practices. Honestly, Carla from my mastermind group is where I've taken a lot of my stuff. She reads all the books, guys, so she has all the information. Go hit up Carla. No, I'm just kidding, but I'm just saying like that. You just talk to people that journal, and they can tell you like where they get their ideas from and that sort of thing. And again, there's no wrong way to do this. Yeah. If it's something that you feel like is going to be helpful to you in your journey, just start small. 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever you can do. Yep. So, okay. Well, that is our episode for today, guys. As always, if you have any show ideas, questions, or just want to say hi, you can hit us up at our email address on the brightlinepodcast@gmail.com or any of our socials. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.